Baseball and Whatever with your host, Justin McElwee.
Because I was on campus and I had to appear like I was one of the cool kids, I would put the Star Wars book inside one of my textbooks so it looked like I was just studying for class.
All right, look, there's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Vincent Francis Jankowitz IV.
I'm a glorified fact checker.
Last I checked, the most runs in a game wins.
Actually, I am a fact checker.
And Greg Probst.
If you look at most Bond fans movie rankings, they have Casino Royale and Majesties in their top two. For me, these actually rank in the bottom part of my list. I mean, I love them, but they don't compare to Diamonds Are Forever.
No, stop getting Bond wrong!
Alrighty, everybody, that's Baseball and Whatever. It's Thursday night. We're ready to go. I'm Justin. There's Vinnie. Episode 85, baseball. I'm sure we'll talk some football. And we are going to rank our top 5 Star Wars heroes, which ultimately makes me think we have to do a top 5 Star Wars villains at some point too, Vinnie.
I think so. I mean, it's
Darth Maul,
right?
Darth Maul. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
No.
Darth Maul sucks. All right. He doesn't suck. He's okay. Hot take. He's all right. He's all right.
No, I mean, he could be so much better. They just didn't do him justice. And
no, I feel like fans are really split on him. Hey,
Really?
Get it? Because he got split in half.
oh yeah. But
He's on fire!
Thank you. All right. Anyway.
And just for the record, I did not play that sound drop. That was
me. That was the
giving
few
himself
that
kudos on that one.
I will always give myself kudos.
Boom shakalaka!
All right. On that note, thank you, Vinny. That was so nice of you to play that for me. All right. We are here, like I said, episode 85. If you are finding us for the first time, we are primarily a Chicago sports podcast, followed by a pop culture section, which is our whatever section. We rank something top 5. We have discussions on it in the second half of the show. So even if you hate baseball or sports or you don't live in Chicago, there should be something for you. You can find us in a variety of ways. We are on youtube.com/baseball and whatever. You can find us on twitch.tv/baseball and whatever right now. You can tweet us at baseball and what. You can email the show at baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. I also was bored the other night. I couldn't sleep, so I resurrected the Instagram. So I'm going to try and start posting stuff to the Instagram channel again. We'll see how long that lasts. You can find us on Instagram at baseball and whatever. And I was really bored the other night as well. I made us a TikTok, Vinny. So I'm thinking
God.
I might start
Why?
cutting some of the clips to put on TikTok to see if we can get more people to listen. I don't know. I don't know.
That's not a bad idea.
I mean, I don't
just
know when I'm going to find time,
that
but
I'm going to do anything.
No. I got this. Yeah, I was working with how to edit our videos into a phone ratio format, so it looks vertical as opposed to horizontal. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Like I said, you can find us on all those ways mentioned earlier. And we like to start off the show with whatever episode number we're on to try and figure out what Chicago sports athletes wore that number. We are on 85. So Vinny, number 85, Eloy doesn't wear 85. Does Eloy Jimenez wear 85? Or is he 86? Okay, I'm way off then. I don't know. What does he wear?
Eloy?
Yeah, what does Eloy wear? Doesn't he wear?
What is...
I thought he wore 86, no?
No, Eloy
Okay,
doesn't
or
wear...
85. Sorry, okay. Or am I thinking of Luis Robert, maybe?
What Eloy does wear now. I don't have it up, but he does not wear 85.
Okay, never mind.
There are no White Sox that wear 85 currently.
That works for me then.
History of
Oh,
White Sox
I'm thinking
organization.
Luis Robert, but he wears 88, not 85.
88,
so we're off to
yes.
a banger already.
Yep.
Other than that,
Way
I do know one Blackhawk that wore 85. He was not any good, and I think
there is only one Blackhawk that wore 85.
He was brought over from the Florida Panthers. Everyone thought he was going to be decent, and he kind of bottomed out. That is Rostislav Olesh. There you go. And that is my contribution to this part of the show, because I don't know anybody else that wore 85.
We have none other for the Cubs, Trent Giambrone.
Was he a pitcher?
No, he was
Oh.
a fielder. 2021, he came up. He played second baseman, pinch hitter. I believe I saw him in the minors at AAA Myrtle Beach in 2017, and that was the year Lloyd got traded and Cease in 2017 for Jose Quintana.
I forgot that you actually went to one of those games. Yeah.
What's that?
Okay. I forgot you went out there for a game. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I was down there for vacation, but
I
happened to know that they were playing there and decided to go see him. Nobody for the Bulls, nobody for the White Sox. For the Bears, who wears 85 for the Bears, Justin?
Currently,
yes.
What position do they play?
Tight end.
Cole Kmet. All right.
Yep. Before that, it was Brady Soule. Daniel Brown also wore it. Earl Bennett wore 85 in 2008.
That was Jay Cutler's guy, right?
That was Jay Cutler's guy, yep. Alonzo Mays wore it in 98 and 2000. Now we're getting back. Dennis McKinnon. You remember Dennis McKinnon?
No.
He was on the Super Bowl team. Played with the Bears from 1983 to 1989.
Very nice.
And let's see. Other than that is Willie Holman, 1968 to 1973.
I feel like that's have to tell us about and write in because I have no idea who that is.
That's it.
Not a clue. All right.
6 career sacks for Willie Holman.
That's not bad.
It for the Bears.
Sounds like a pretty good career. 20-something sacks. Can't beat that. All right.
I mean, really good is like 10 sacks a season.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Never mind. I take that back. That's why I'm not the football expert on this show. All right. Real quick, in terms of listener comments, no listener comments this week, but we do have a new YouTube subscriber. We are at 149, and that is the subscriber that goes by the handle of Super Aussie Oi. So thank you, Super Aussie.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Throw another shrimp on the bobby, and we'll continue delighting you with our show. No? All right. Anyway. Before we get to the sports stuff, Vinny brought this up. The new Mandalorian trailer dropped. And since this is a Star Wars episode for whatever, we figured it would be a good time to bring it up. That was probably the only reason to watch the rest of that game, that Tampa Bay Dallas game, because boy, that was kind of a snooze fest, at least in my opinion it was. I don't know about you.
That was the most public display of proving your wife right. I mean, I guess ex-wife and Tom Brady's stance, but I mean I bet you Giselle was just sitting at home and goes, I was right, told you so,
told you,
you should have hung it up, you look lost out there, because that's exactly what he was. And that was pathetic. And I don't know, I don't see what else could he have done. I guess win the MVP and the Super Bowl? I
guess.
But he won the Super Bowl. He should have just hung it up then.
Yeah.
Just be done with it. There was no point to come back, and he's probably going to come back again.
No, and well, we can talk about that when we get to the football section, but I think you nailed it. That Father Time always wins, and he's pushing 45 now, 44. I don't even know what Tom Brady is.
46 next season.
46. Okay, like you're done. Like you're dangerously close to that precipice where it's like, you were good, and then now this is what people are going to remember you if you keep bottoming out like this. Now, granted, he's a Hall of Famer. He's straight to the Hall of Fame. And I would argue, I think the Patriots were maybe more Brady than Belichick at this point after seeing the way that the Patriots have gone the last couple seasons. I don't know about that, but
did you say it was more Brady than Belichick?
More Brady than Belichick, yeah.
Yeah.
That had the success, yeah. I mean, I don't know. But, so, but the good thing
kind of ended last year, right?
Yeah, that really kind of fell off the rail. The Patriots have kind of fallen off the rails the last couple seasons, and Belichick doesn't look like he's got much going on. But the one positive from this game that we can talk about is the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer dropped. I did not realize it was coming so soon. I was thinking May for some reason, but it is going to be on Disney Plus on March 1st. So we are literally like a month and like a week and a half away, like 5-6 weeks, something like that, away from season 3 of The Mandalorian. So I don't know. You want to start off by telling us your thoughts, then I'll see where I can jump in or where I agree or disagree.
Sure. That's where I'll start off with.
Okay.
That trailer, man, it got my blood flowing. That's the best way I can put that. It was great. I'm thoroughly excited for it. I love the Mandalorian series. It's my favorite one. It's arguably the best that they've put out there. I love the Mandalorian character.
Yes.
It's cool that they're going to be showing more flashback to the Order 66 with Grogu, and I'm assuming that's what they're going to do. They're going to show his backstory, which is going to be cool because we haven't seen much about that. We all thought he was Baby Yoda to start, and then he got a name, and then we're like, well, that's not Yoda or anything close to Yoda. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do for that backstory. Him going back to Mandalore. It's going to be an interesting, it looked like he's got an army of people with him, and it looks like there's going to be an attack. I'm wondering if, I can't remember the other, it's not a man, is she Mandalorian? Mandalorian's the religion.
And then Mandalore's the planet. Cult, right? Well, I think if you're from the planet, you're a Mandalorian. Girl. Yes, if you're from the planet, you're a Mandalorian, but there's also different, like, sects or like divisions of Mandalore. So yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to find the screenshot. I'm looking at it right now. Of where Bo-Katan, that's her name. I'm sorry. She's a part of a group called the Night Owls, where he is a part of. I don't know. She refers to his group as like the religious heretics, doesn't she? At some point, I believe.
I think something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I'm wondering if there's going to be a battle between those two.
Right,
because he's got the dark saber, and that's supposed to be hers, as
they
made reference to. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if there's some sort of rift and battle between them on Mandalore. But other than that, I am thoroughly excited for it. I think it's gonna be great. I mean, the whole series has been great so far.
Oh yeah, season 2 was spectacular, especially the way it ended with Luke coming back and fighting the Dark Troopers, which was so cool. I will bring the Dark Troopers up again later because there's something one of the heroes I have in a honorable mention. But I was really happy to see, and I had to look up his character's name because I can never remember it. It's Greef Karga, who is played by what's his name? Shoot, I'm drawing a blank now. You know who I'm talking about? I do this every time with names. I'm getting really worried here.
With the main antagonist throughout the first 2 seasons, right?
The guy from Happy Gilmore. What's his name? Carl Weathers. I'm sorry. That's his name. Greef Karga. Carl Weathers' character is back. They showed him in the trailer. They showed the doctor or the scientist that they captured on that Imperial shuttle at the end of season 2. He popped up. I guess his name is Dr. Pershing. I'm horrible with names all of a sudden. They also showed the if you remember that X-Wing pilot that kind of caught up with Mando a couple times. They showed him in it, so I'm curious what the Rebel Alliance. Well, I guess they're not the Rebel Alliance anymore. They're technically they're the not what would they be? They're
the new alliance, right? Or
the new. What are they
called now?
Well, they were
they were trilogies.
Yeah, they were the Rebel Alliance. They were the Resistance in the sequel trilogies, which is so stupid because they were the government, and then all of a sudden they lost somehow. I don't know how that worked, but the New Republic. I'm sorry, the New Republic. There we go. They showed them a couple times. Order 66 is awesome. Like, I want to see that. They also showed some spaceship battles and some battles in the air with TIE interceptors, which is awesome. I love any time the spaceships are involved. The interceptors are a little bit cooler than TIE fighters. Yeah, like I'm down. I'm ready to go. And they also showed, Grogu using the Force push a little bit when he's fighting somebody in his little baby carriage, which I thought was kind of a funny little callback. But yeah, overall, I'm ready to go. Bring me more Mando. I mean, I'm on a high still from Andor, and I'm ready. hook me up, put it in my veins. Let's go. So I'm ready. So, well, yeah, I'm curious to see if anybody else is listening. Right in, tell us what you think. If you're excited or if you have Star Wars fatigue, I mean, I guess there's a possibility that somebody might, but I do not. So,
speaking of fatigues,
yes,
not in like a military sense.
Okay, I was gonna say.
No, I've been watching the She-Hulk show
Mm-hmm.
on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. It's actually it's decent. It's entertaining enough. But yeah, I thought I was going to just be like, it wasn't good, but first couple episodes have been pretty good. I think I'm about 4 or 5 episodes in. I don't know how long the series is, but it's been entertaining. They've had some good callbacks to characters. They explained how she became the She-Hulk, which was interesting. So yeah, it's not a bad show. I'd recommend giving it a watch.
That's one. I have not watched any of the Marvel TV shows. None. We watched about...
Justin.
I know.
You watched WandaVision.
No. Erica did. I didn't.
You didn't watch that?
I caught like 1 or 2 episodes.
For sure you would have watched that one.
No. I watched like through osmosis. Erica watched the whole thing. I'm like, you don't even like Marvel or watch the Marvel movies, but she watched. I caught maybe like 1 or 2 episodes. I'm like, okay, that seems okay. Never watched Loki, which everyone talks about. Like that's the one to watch if I'm gonna watch one. Yeah, I didn't watch She-Hulk, and I think it's kind of cool that like She-Hulk is a character that I remember seeing her in like a video game, in like a fighting video game from like the early 2000s. I had never even known there was a She-Hulk character, and then to see her on the Disney Plus show, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I have not watched the only Marvel show we watched, and I don't even think it wasn't even on Disney Plus because that wasn't around yet. It was back on Netflix at this point, and that was The Punisher. We watched like 6 episodes of that. The guy from The Walking Dead is the main guy that plays the Punisher. It was good. But we just kind of, I don't know if you've ever had those shows where it's like, all right, we're going to watch it. And then you say like, yeah, let's watch it. And you're like, I guess we can watch it. Like that drive to finish it wasn't there. I have been very curious. I've heard amazing things about that Daredevil TV show that came out like 10 years ago. Or maybe it was like 8. And the fact that they put that same actor and character in the last Spider-Man movie is like a bit part. I've heard it's really good, and I've been wanting to go back to that, but I just haven't had time. I've also been wanting to start the new season of Jack Ryan, which I have not gotten around to yet either. But I've heard it's good.
That was really good. A lot
that's
better
good.
Than the second season.
Yeah, the first season was amazing. Second season, I was like, okay, I'm still on board, but I've heard the third season really amps it up a little bit. So,
like the second season, it was like kind of like point A to point B.
Yeah,
like they kind of
I would agree.
Like, it felt like it was rushed, and they just like there was nothing sneaky or like deceptive happening. That's kind of like it's a spy thriller, and it wasn't really anything like. It was more of like an action show. But the third one, there's deception going on, and it seems more like Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan type of stuff. Other than the second season. So
all right, well, I'll have to give that a shot.
I will say,
too.
Justin, you missed your chance to, but you should watch Hawkeye during next Christmas season. I thought about this after our Christmas draft that I should have put that in my list because Hawkeye takes place during Christmas, so technically it is a Christmas show.
Ooh,
it's an entire show.
I don't think that would have stopped you from finishing last, though, Vinny. In the draft.
Justin.
Sorry. I had to get that in there.
A dagger to my heart.
Yeah. Hawkeye was a cool... I remember like the old... it wasn't X-Men. No, because he wasn't in the X-Men. Marvel, like Avengers arcade machine had Hawkeye. I'm like, this guy seems cool. But back then he wore like a purple and blue outfit in the comics. That was like early 90s. All right. Well, I got a lot of TV to catch up on. But we do have a little bit of baseball talk. Are you ready for some baseball talk?
I think so.
Okay.
Baseball. Welcome back to Major League Baseball. Sort of. Taking a look at Chicago's 2 favorite teams and other happenings around the MLB.
All right. Well, the Cubs convention was last weekend. Have you caught any of the highlights? They've been kind of putting it on their YouTube channel. I don't know. Have you watched any of the stuff that they've put out for what took place at the Cubs convention?
I have not. Outside of like people posting stuff on Twitter, but I haven't watched any of the stuff that the Cubs have been putting out. So
yeah, like I know I tweeted you and Greg, like I was watching the opening ceremonies. I had to re-download the Marquee app and find my friends' login and do that whole rigmarole. But yeah, like the introductions to all the players and, you know, the old timers and the rookies and the prospects and then the team was really well done. I totally forgot or never knew that they have a Cubs Hall of Fame now. Did you know they have a Cubs Hall of Fame?
Yeah, they came out with that.
Was that a couple years ago?
2 years ago.
Okay. Well, it totally
because Pat Hughes got inducted into it last year.
Okay, and then because then he got the real Hall of Fame call this year. But yeah, like, so I had no idea that was even a thing, and they inducted Mark Grace and Sean Dunston, so it was really cool to see those guys, because, I mean, I remember them growing up. They were, like, some of the bright spots on some of those really bad teams in the early 90s, so that was neat to see. Sean Dunston looks like he could still play shortstop. He looks like he's still in pretty good shape. Mark Grace was not inebriated, so that was a plus, because I know he had that issue a couple times in Arizona. But yeah, so that was cool. I watched a couple of the some of the, like, the pressers they did one with some of the pitchers and Hendricks talking about his mentality and kind of working with the young guys and, you know, Wesneski and Justin Steele and Keegan Thompson and that kind of stuff. I watched another one that was all about the prospects, and it was really cool. They had Matt Mervis on there, and you know, anybody who is a prospect that people are excited about was on the stage and was talking and listening, and they were very personable, very down to earth. It was really neat to see. Overall, I think it was a success. I know somebody asked Ricketts about Sammy Sosa. That still is like a. I don't know about you, and I think we might have talked about this in the past. Like, I just don't care anymore. Like, he as polarizing as he could have been, and he was probably safe to say a horrible teammate, right? I would probably say. I don't think he was well liked. But I mean, he did bring a lot of fun to the team, to the city. I mean, I don't know. I enjoyed watching him. The cork bat thing sucked, but I don't know why there's such hesitation for the Ricketts. Like, they're so well, I shouldn't say they. I think it's Tom. Is so hell-bent on, well, he's got to apologize for what he did. So it's like, okay, you want him to apologize because he kind of bailed on the team that last game that he was a Cub? Okay, I get it. He kind of was a dick that last week, you know. But even then, that was 2004. We're going on almost 20 years ago. Now, do you want him to apologize for steroids? Because he's never going to, because then you're openly admitting. So I don't, like, it's going on 20 years. The guy made so much money for the team, and for some seasons was the only reason to go to Wrigley. I just don't know why it's still such a big deal. I would just say, hey, yeah, if he wants to come back, tell him to pick up the phone, call us, we'll fly him out, and he can come to a game, and we'll do a thing. Like, I don't know why this is still such a big deal. It's kind of annoying at this point. I don't know how you feel about it, but
yeah, I'm over it too. I don't care. Like, bring him back, don't bring him back. It would be great if they did. They should. I don't get the Ricketts, like, their whole policing this entire thing. They weren't even the owners during that time. How like, why are you holding this grudge when you weren't? I could see if they were the owner and, you know, Sammy Sosa was a jerk to him or whatever. They didn't own the team. What are you complaining about? You have nothing to complain about. He built the value of the franchise up by making the Cubs be a destination to go to, whether they were good or bad, because he was there. What do you care if he took steroids? It was before your ownership, before you owned the team. Yeah, I get it. You're trying to hold on to some,
like, the sanctity or something,
legacy, or like you're trying to, you know, instill the legacy of the Cubs. Okay, but again, you weren't the owner. Who cares? The fans are the ones that, you know, think about the legacy. Everybody, for the majority of people, probably love Sammy. I mean, they probably turn their eye, but they were cheering probably during the 98 season. They were probably cheering Sammy on every time he hit a home run. Yeah, you've come to find out later, okay, yeah, he took steroids. Okay, yeah, whatever. So were a lot of guys during that time.
Yeah.
Did you really feel cheated that he took steroids and that took away from you're cheering him on or something. I don't get people that are still upset about it.
I don't.
They should bring him back at some point. The Ricketts should get over it. And just everybody should just move on and honor him during what he did for the team during that period.
I think you nailed it. It's I don't know. I feel like it's kind of silly at this point. Like you said, if I was at a game this summer and they said, hey, Sammy Sosa is going to be at this game, am I going to buy tickets specifically to go and see him? No. Am I going to maybe make sure I have the game record? Well, I can't record it because it's on the marquee app. But am I going to seek out the highlights and see what he did? Sure, but yeah. I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be must see TV. But like you said, I don't know why the Ricketts feel like they're the gatekeepers of this. Like you said, they weren't the owners. Now, if the Tribune still owned the team and they had a big blowout and they were like, you know what, we are never welcoming you back, I think I'd be like, all right, it is what it is. But like you said, the Ricketts had nothing to do with Sosa there. And if Tom was such a super fan like he claims to be, out in the bleachers, I guarantee you he was cheering him on that '98 season. Guarantee you.
Yep.
So, I don't know. It is what it is. I think, like you said, it's going to keep coming up until it gets some type of solution, whether it's no, he's never coming back, or yes, we've made the offer, now it's in his court. Because even 4 or 5 years ago, David Kaplan went down to, was it the Dominican? That's where Sammy's from, right? He interviewed him, and they had a really great interview. I'm sure it's still on YouTube somewhere. And just all about he would love to come back, and he's so thankful for the people of Chicago, but whatever, I don't have the energy to care anymore. Something I do care about though is that the Cubs made another signing the second day of the convention, and that is they brought in former Oriole Trey Mancini. I am really excited. So I'm assuming Trey Mancini slots in and is your everyday DH. What do you think?
I think he's going to be the right-left split with Hosmer to start the season at first base. He can play outfield too. I think he plays left field if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be probably DH more times than not. I'm excited about it. You're a big Mancini fan, right?
Yeah, I really liked him. For a while, he was one of the only reasons to watch the Orioles for most of the last couple of seasons. The story of him beating cancer and coming back and being successful was just a really feel-good story. It was really awesome. I think he's going to swap in and out with Hosmer. I think he could play DH. You could give Ian Happ a day off. You can give Suzuki a day off if you swap him out to the corner outfielders. And I don't think this does anything really negatively to Matt Mervis. If anything, it gives him the opportunity to start the season in AAA, unless he has an amazing spring training. I don't know. But and just say, okay, we're going to give you 100 at-bats to make sure you're where you left off last season. And if you're not, we'll let you have some more time. And if you're ready to go, we'll call you up. And that's the one thing I think this is really good. I mean, I would rather see Mancini play more than Hosmer, just in terms of his offensive capability. But, I've seen so much vitriol from Padres fans towards Cubs fans about, have fun with Hosmer. He sucks and blah, blah, blah. And it's okay, for his contract, yes, he is not worth the contract that the Padres gave him. But the Cubs are literally paying him the league minimum. So if in May this is a train wreck, you just say, hey, thanks for your time. We're going to DFA you. Good luck catching on somewhere else. And you're done. There's no other thing. And then you bring in Mancini, so Mancini can be the majority. And then you bring Matt Mervis up, and he can platoon Mancini. So I really think it's awesome. There was some podcast out of, I don't know if it was associated with John Boy. I'll have to ask Greg because I know he's into John Boy. And they were talking about how they couldn't figure out what the heck the Cubs were doing. They're just getting all these Band-Aids and all these players. And I'm like, well, no, that's not. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Cubs fan, but I'm like, no, that's not what they're doing. They're trying to plug holes because they have prospects in waiting, and you're making these signings to kind of fill the gap until those guys are ready, and you go from there. They couldn't figure out the Bellinger signing, and I'm like, well, who else is going to play center? They don't have their center fielders aren't ready yet, right? So I don't understand why it's so difficult.
They had last year were bad too.
Yeah, they weren't good. They weren't good at all. So, I don't know. I was even more excited because I really thought Hosmer was the last signing. I thought that was going to be in the words of Crane Kenny, the 9th inning of the offseason or the free agency period. And then to see him get signed in for a relatively, I think it's a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year club option, I think, or a mutual option, something like that. That's not bad. And then if Mervis doesn't pan out, that buys you an extra year to find another first baseman or find another prospect that you can put at first. It's, dare I say, I want to congratulate the Cubs on this offseason because I feel like, if you would have told us when we were waiting for one of those shortstops to be signed, it was looking really dire until that first domino fell. Yeah. So I'm probably more excited for spring training this year than I have been in 2 or 3 years because I feel like that you don't know what this season is going to be like is kind of exciting. It's looking good. Maybe a second place in the division and a wild card berth would be ideal. I would be super happy with that. But if everything clicks and injuries are low, maybe they take first. I don't know. I don't think they will, but it's a possibility. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I thought this was a great offseason. I give them a solid B, maybe B plus. There was first base. They didn't get Jose Abreu. I thought was a perfect.
That would have been perfect. Yeah.
But again, and the podcast you were talking about I think that was the John Boy one, where they were questioning, but they filled the holes that they had, that needs that they had. They filled. They went defensive at catcher with Tucker Barnhart over Wilson Contreras. They kind of they're more susceptible on the offensive side. But the stats show that Wilson Contreras was not a good defensive catcher. He didn't control the staff well. That was evident with the splits between him and Yan Gomes. We've talked about that a couple times here on the podcast. They got better defensively with the shift going away. I think that was that's a smart move. They got probably the best defensive shortstop on the market. Who can play shortstop? We don't know about Correa going forward.
Oh, boy.
Nico's in a good spot on second. He's going to be one of the top second basemen in the league, or at least in the National League, if not the MLB. Getting Mancini, I think, really solidified it. I probably at more like a B plus grade for me. Because I didn't think that they were going to sign him because they're right at the threshold, the competitive balance tax.
Yes.
So I mean, that right there just says that they're looking to spend. Obviously, we had heard and we joked about how that wasn't true about the checkbook being open because nothing was happening for the longest time, but things did happen, and I'm glad that they did. It's making this season exciting for potentially what could happen, and they have depth now, and that's the biggest thing. They have competent depth. It's not, well, I hope Frank Schwindel takes off. I hope Patrick Wisdom can continue on the success.
Yes,
they have other options they can go to. Now the thing is, if Eric Hosmer's stinking up the joint, is David Ross gonna be like, okay, I can't play this guy every day, we need to either bring up Matt Mervis, who's killing it in AAA hopefully, and say goodbye to Hosmer, or is David Ross going to continue to trot him out there like he did with Jason Hayward? That's going to be a big thing. I think there's enough to go on right now with to actually evaluate David Ross. I know a lot of people were giving him a pass the past couple years because they gutted the system, they gutted the team, and last year he had nothing to work with. So I think this is going to be a good evaluation year for him as well. And going forward, I think second is a realistic goal for this team. First place possibly. The Brewers collapse again. And Goldschmidt and Arenado don't play out of their minds, and they don't have the swan song season for Pujols to play out of his mind. So if they don't get those like career type years out of those two guys, they might have a chance to win this division, possibly. We'll see. I don't think it's likely. I'll probably still pick them to win the division just because.
Of course.
I can't pick the Cardinals.
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what I do here. But yeah, I just think that, I think second's a realistic goal. Hopefully, if things break right with the other teams, that you get some regression out of the Cardinals and the Brewers just be the Brewers that have been the team the past couple of years, that they'll win the division possibly this year. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed. It'll be a fun summer, I think. If they can stay competitive at least until the trade deadline, that might be a lot to ask maybe, but if they can at least stay competitive through the first, June and July, that'll make it a really fun, enjoyable summer for baseball, I think. And I think they really have the potential to do that, especially if they get off to a good start. Now, if they come out and they lay an egg for the first 3 weeks, but you know what, we'll see what happens. So, I mean that's all I got for the Cubs. We could talk for hours about the potential lineup, but I think we've kind of discussed that a little bit in terms of who can play where. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot for the White Sox, and I feel bad. I don't want people to think we're biased towards one team. Well, I am, but the podcast is not biased towards one team or the other. But the only news I could find for the White Sox portion of the show is that they signed Juan Uribe Jr., son of White Sox legend Juan Uribe from the 2005 World Series. I still remember when they traded for Juan Uribe, and I remember listening to Mike North on The Score, and he's like, "Who is this Juan Uribe guy? What are they doing? They don't know what they're doing." And it turned out okay. He wasn't too bad of a player for the White Sox, but I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about the White Sox? Anything you're surprised by, not surprised by, hoping they do, hoping they don't? I got nothing.
No, I don't
feel bad.
Anything. It's just, we can keep regurgitating the same.
Yeah.
They still haven't signed anybody. They're going to be starting a rookie out in right field and at second base in a year when you don't have the shift to maybe help them defensively. You're putting a lot on, who's it? Remy? Is it Remy Gonzalez? Is that
yes,
right?
yes, that's on. Yeah.
It's you're putting a lot of pressure on those rookies to perform in a year when defensively the Cubs looked at that and said, okay, we need to fortify our defense. They have a very good defensive unit on the field. The White Sox, I love Tim Anderson. He's one of my favorite Sox players, but man, he last year defensively was not good.
No.
And you're going to ban the shift. And you're not going to have veteran. You don't even have a Josh Harrison to be like, okay, we have a veteran presence here to maybe help out the young rookies at second base. You don't even have that.
Right.
It's very worrisome for a team that's in a contention year. You shouldn't be. It's worrisome for it's just worrisome for.
It's worrisome. Period. Yeah.
Yeah, but for a team that's, especially for a team that's contending, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
No, and I feel like they'll send Rick Hahn out to try and soften the blow if things go badly. But I don't even know what to say. Like you said, they were adamant that they were going to wait for some of the big deals and big names to fall, and then they would kind of have their way with free agency. And it's like, okay, well, you brought in Benintendi, and that's the biggest free agent contract you've ever signed. And it's not really, to normal people, it's huge. And to the normal person, yeah, I would kill for that kind of money. But in terms of what other teams are spending, that's just a normal contract now, right?
Yep.
We've pulled up other signings they've had throughout the career of their biggest off seasons and stuff, and it's almost laughable. It's like, all right, well, you're in the third largest market in the country, but you run, Reinsdorf, and I feel like this is old hat at this point, but it's like you run the team like you're like the Kansas City Royals or the Minnesota Twins or Well, Oakland A's, that might be
the
taking
Twins
it a
are
little.
even spending more money than that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, like the Royals, and I mean,
They're like the Brewers.
Yeah, it's like I just the White Sox fans deserve better. They truly do, and I don't know. I don't know when or if or where that takes place, and I'm sure I would be willing to bet money we'll be having the same conversation next offseason about. They're going to wait until the dust clears, and then whoever's left who's willing to jump on and take any money that is thrown at them because they're still waiting for a team, that the White Sox will go after them. So who knows? Yeah. For White Sox fans' sake, I hope I'm wrong. All right. Well, I have nothing else for baseball, so should we jump to football?
I think so.
All right.
Manures of the Midway. Where the guys talk the pile of horse crap that is the Chicago Bears.
I mean, when you consider the other choices, manure is actually pretty refreshing.
All right. Where do I begin with this? All right. So first of all, before we get into the big news, because the Bears dominated the news this week. First of all, let me preface this by saying I'm so happy. Habarkish is feeling better. Wouldn't wish ill on anyone. And I texted you and Greg and your dad. I think was that yesterday? Was that Wednesday? And I was listening to the score out here.
Yeah. No, it was
okay. Was it Tuesday?
Was it Wednesday? Wednesday or Tuesday?
Okay. Time has no meaning anymore. But I was driving home. I picked up Maddie from daycare, and I was driving home. And Erica had a doctor appointment, so I stopped to get something to eat with Maddie, and I'm listening in the car, and it's Habarkish, Bears insider, talking about how Justin Fields isn't one of the top running quarterbacks in the league, which I would argue, if you want to say he can't pass, then he is by far one of the best. I don't know who else could be better than him in terms of running. Jalen Hurts, maybe. But even Jalen Hurts isn't much of a runner. I mean, I don't know who else he's considering.
About to break the single season rushing record.
Thank you.
Quarterback, if they didn't sit him, he would have broken it. He would have broken Lamar Jackson's record.
So that was strike number one, and then he goes on to say, he hasn't grown at all because he can't pass. And again, sounding like a broken record again in terms of football and baseball this week. He can't pass to anyone because he's got a bunch of scrubs and practice squad guys as his wide receivers, number one. And number two, he doesn't have time to pass because no one can block for him. So Habarkish is like Mr. Football in Chicago when it comes to the Bears beat. It's like, I felt like Will Ferrell's character from Zoolander was at Mugatu. What am I, taking crazy pills? Has everyone gone insane? Like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like talking to myself, and I look behind me and Maddie's just staring at me like, what are you doing, Dad? But I'm like, how is it possible that these beat writers are so tone deaf that it's like, this guy is I shouldn't say once in a lifetime, because I don't think that, but he's like, well, I wouldn't go after Bryce Young quite yet. And then after he got off the phone call, Danny Parkins was like, before the draft, he's going to be saying they should sign Bryce Young instead of keeping Fields. And Matt Spiegel was kind of like, oh yeah, it's coming. Like that story will shift gears. But like, it's just so, like, how much longer are we going to do this? It's like, come on, it's so frustrating.
I have a question. What was Parkins' response when he said he wasn't the best rusher in the league?
He kind of let him speak, but what I wasn't usually the biggest Parkins fan, but I feel like he's calling people out on this a lot. Like, this is kind of his hill to die on. And he kind of said, we disagree on that. And he kind of did say, like, yes, can he improve his passing? Of course he can. Can he improve, making sure he gets down or gets out of bounds so he doesn't get his head taken off when he does choose to run? Yes, of course. But, like, I don't know how you can't watch.
He does get down, and then the guys still hit him, and then
and he doesn't get a call. Yeah. So, like, I don't understand. There was a good 7-8 week stretch where I would argue this season he was probably the most exciting thing to watch in the NFC North, maybe in some football altogether throughout the NFL. Like, I mean, like you said, he almost broke the season record for quarterbacks. Like, I don't know what more this guy could do. And again, the Bears shifted their scheme to that because he was getting killed staying in the pocket. Like, so you can't have your cake and eat it too. You want to blame him for not being the best runner, but the reason they did that is because they couldn't buy him enough time to pass, which would be why. Oh, that was the other thing he brought up. Well, the Bears were 31st and 32nd the last 2 seasons in passing offense. Okay, like, how are you going to pin that on one guy? It's a team sport.
Yeah. Yep.
Number one, and then
the play caller.
Well, yes, that too. When you got,
they didn't throw that many passes.
No, because they had nobody he could throw to, right? So like, it's just infuriating. And then talking about like, well, what was their record? I always get thrown off now because it's not a 16-game season. 3-13, right? Or 3-14? Is that what they technically are?
It was a 17-week season, right?
17-game season, 18 weeks or 17 weeks, whatever.
So 3-14.
Okay, 3-14, and he goes, guys, they still finished 3-14. You can't be that good if you finish 3-14. I'm like, okay, do we want to talk about the defense too and how, most of the defense was gutted? I mean, Robert Quinn was playing good. They jettisoned him, and rightfully so. And same thing for Roquan. I'm not losing sleep over that. But it's like, don't put all the blame at Justin Fields' feet when football is a team game, is probably the most of a team game out of the major sports, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't know. But anyway, The more interesting thing this week is Ted Phillips. Obviously, we've known for a while he is going to ride off into the sunset with a wheelbarrow full of money. So the Bears are bringing in a new president. Vinny, do you have anything to say about this new hire? Anything that you want to discuss?
I'm a fan of it.
Yeah,
I think it's good. Having him come in, he had some experience before being the Big Ten commissioner. He was with the Vikings, and I guess he was a part of their stadium build there for the U.S. Bank Stadium, I think. Yeah, in Minnesota.
Yep.
So him coming in with that experience, it seems like that might be a good reason. But he did a lot of good things for the Big Ten. He brought in just recently USC and UCLA. Mm-hmm. That's huge.
That's huge for the West Coast. Yeah,
those 2 college teams into the Big Ten. He seems like a very smart guy. He also, during his interview, said that he wasn't going to be getting involved with football operations. He's going to stay to the business ops, which is great. That's how it should be. The problem I have, it's great for him to say that. My problem is George is still running the show. Like, he's still that's who Ryan Poles answers to, and we know George likes to get opinions from other people, to collaborate, or whatever buzzword he likes to use for kumbaya and eating s'mores. And that's what he did with Ted Phillips. Like, he went to Ted Phillips for advice. Like, I have no idea. I'm sure Ted loved to give George advice, even though all he was is an accountant bean counter that had no business doing that. And George continued to go and seek his advice, would have Ted in on hiring process for GM. I don't, I'm sure Ted wanted to be, but I mean, at what point is he going to do that? Is George going to continue to do that? Or
to meddle,
I mean, and then does he or does he not? I don't know, but him saying that is great, that he doesn't want to be involved. So that's great. Hopefully he can follow through and George doesn't try to pull him into the football operations. So that's good that he's going to just be like a Crane. Well, I don't know. There's rumors that Crane Kenny also gets involved with baseball operations.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So, hopefully he just worries about the business and, handles that, and that'll be great. I know George also said during the press conference that the Bears were going to be staying in Chicago, supposedly, but I don't buy that. I think they're going to be out of Chicago and in Arlington Heights.
Without a doubt. Yeah. So yeah, I think the Kevin Warren is his name. I think that was a good call. The less of Ted Phillips we get to see, the better. The fact that he's retiring is fine. I was kind of surprised. I think going back to what you said about, George kind of, I don't know if meddling's in the affairs of the football team is, it is his own, they own the team, but, I'm kind of surprised they don't have somebody for polls to kind of turn to, like a football ops president as well. But who knows, maybe that'll come down the line, but I think this is good. The fact that you're giving this guy, his main task is, all right, let's get this stadium deal done in Arlington Heights. He's done this before in Minnesota. He, like you said, he improved the Big Ten by bringing in West Coast teams, which was huge. Now, if only those two West Coast teams were, decent like they used to be. But we'll see. Yeah. Time will tell. They can't be any worse than Rutgers being in the Big Ten. So,
true.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's good. But yeah, I feel like that's been the big story, and it's there's only so much to say because, like you said, at the end of the day, it's not going to influence. It shouldn't influence, I should say, what the football team and the football ops people do. Hopefully, Ryan Poles still can just say, "Hey, this is what I want to do," and George McCaskey will say, "Okay, that sounds great," or George will say, "Well, let's talk to Kevin. Let's see what Kevin thinks." Well, Kevin's off trying to build a stadium. We don't need to talk to Kevin right now. So. Yeah. Who knows?
Hopefully Kevin goes, no, don't bother me with that.
Yeah, this isn't my field. This isn't my expertise, right? So, good for him to get signed. It's exciting. I think it'll go well. I have to say, Vinny, I am psyched. We did have a few people write in about what they think the Bears should do. Greg H. wrote in. He said, make sure you keep Fields. Trade that number 1 pick for a player and a couple later picks. They should be able to get a player and another team's first and second round picks. I think that's doable. I've even heard some people on ESPN talk about the Bears could trade. Was it Indy that has the second round pick or Houston? Is it Indy? I thought it was Indy for some reason.
It's Houston's got.
It's Houston. Okay. So, that's right. So they were instigating or insinuating that the Bears could trade the number 1 pick to Houston because Houston needs a quarterback. They get the number 2 pick, and then they turn around and trade that number 2 pick to someone else who wants a quarterback and, get a 9th and 15th first round pick. Keep compiling picks to other teams because there's probably 5 or 6 teams that need a new quarterback, and there's a couple available. So that I could see them doing. I just, please don't mess this up. Please, Bears, do not mess this up. I don't know. I could feel it like the whack-a-mole, they're just, whacking things and it's not going to go well. But we'll see what happens. Karen also wrote in and said, I think the Bears should just keep Justin Fields, get some good upgrades in the offseason with the defense, and they should be set. Yeah, the defense needs to be improved too, I think. There's plenty of holes. If you can stockpile those picks by trading down a couple times, draft, NFL-ready guys, and then use some of that salary that's available to you to go sign some decent players, they could really do it. I mean, look at Jacksonville from last year to this year. There's no reason the Bears couldn't do that next season. Win a playoff game? I don't know, but at least make the playoffs? Yes. So, I do have to say, Vinny, we went 6-0 on our predictions last week. We are awesome. We should be
great.
Giving betting tips or be gamblers.
We should. I don't bet. I can't bet.
No, neither do I. Yeah, it's not legal in Wisconsin, right?
No. You could.
I could right now.
On this show.
I could. Yeah, be like Jimmy the Greek. All right. Well, I did pull the 4 matchups for this week. Do you want to make a prediction on these 4 matchups?
Sure, why not?
All right. Up first, we have the amazing comeback story that was the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Vinny, who you got?
Chiefs.
All right, me too.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, that was really cool to see them come back. I don't even know if they should have come back last week. But they did, and good for them. Yep. But I think Mahomes is just going to blow them out of the water. All right, up next we got Brian Daboll's Giants and the Jalen Hurts led Eagles. Vinny, who you got?
I'm going to have to say Eagles on this one. Kind of like the Jaguars. I think they were Jaguars and Giants both played two fraudulent teams that they could sneak by, and the Jaguars definitely did. The Giants took care of the Vikings, but the Eagles are not the Vikings.
No.
So I'm going to have to say the Eagles.
No, watching the Vikings crumble was just amazing last week. Yes, I will take the Eagles as well. All right, a matchup from a few weeks ago. This is going to be a good game. Bengals, Bills. I don't even know which way to go. Which way are you leaning on this one?
This is tough. I'm going to have to go with the Bills just because of what happened last time they faced off. And the Bills are at home, so I think I'm going to have to go with Bills on this one.
All right, I'm gonna just to be the contrarian. I'm gonna go Bengals on this one. I feel like Joe Burrow is still maybe seething a little bit from that Super Bowl loss last season. I think he's gonna come out and be determined to lead them to victory. So I don't know. I think the Bills winning would be the great story. So if that happens, good for them. But I could also see them winning. So I don't know. Last one, I gotta say, I watched a lot of the 49ers, and I can't remember who did the 49ers play last week. Do you remember?
Oh, they killed whoever they played.
Yeah.
Was it Seattle?
Yes, it was the Seahawks. Yeah, they stomped them. Holy cow, I was wondering who was going to play because I haven't kept up with the 49ers, but with Jimmy G being out, Trey Lance being out, this Brock Purdy, I had never even heard of until I started watching this game. Holy cow, that for being Mr. Mr. Irrelevant, is it possible like he's a legit quarterback? Like he might be?
No.
Or is this, you don't think so?
I think so. I think it's more of the system and the players that that team is stacked. You could throw clearly you can throw any quarterback in there right now.
Yeah.
And they perform. I think he's adequate enough to fill in.
Sure.
For this team, I don't think he's some superstar.
No.
I don't, but maybe he is. Who knows? Maybe he does develop into it. He had a rough start in that game. And they still dominated, but they have so
many weapons
across the board.
Yeah.
When they got Christian McCaffrey, that kind of just put him over the edge.
It's weird seeing him in 49ers red though, like because I never
really
watched 49ers games. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Good for him though. They are.
He looks
stacked.
good.
Yeah,
he looks good
yeah.
in the 49ers red.
He does. Who are you taking in this one? 49ers or Cowboys?
I'm going to say 49ers. Yeah.
As am I. Dak Prescott played a heck of a game last week as well, but I think, like you said, the 49ers just have too much. I think the 49ers take it. So, all right. Well, we will find out next week if we are still as good of handicappers as we were last week. One of us won't be because we have the split there. I should have just said the same one just so we could go 4-0 this week too. No. All right,
Justin.
That's what I do best. All right. On that note, unless you have anything else football related, should we hit the whatever?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's do it.
Now it's time for whatever.
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 Whatever. Whatever you want.
Whatever I want. Whatever, dude. Irrelevant. Whatever, dude.
All right, Vinny, take it away.
Welcome to Whatever Baseball and Whatever. This week we are counting down our top 5 Star Wars heroes, not villains, only the good guys we are looking at this week. Justin, I know you had said that this was a tough list. This was really easy for me.
Really? Okay.
It was one of, but again, I'm guessing, did you just stick with like cinematic universe or
no? I tried to go extended universe, non-canon. Well, it used to be canon, Vinny, until Disney ripped my heart out. I did dig through some of that stuff. I'm not gonna lie, but ultimately, some of the at least one that I picked plays a role in the cinematic movies, but also in the extended universe. They had a whole book series about him, which I've read I think it's like a 6-book arc. I've read only 2. I haven't had time to go back. But anyway, yeah, you'll find out soon enough. So,
Nerd alert!
That's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right. I will start it off. I don't know who came up with the list this week, but I will start it off since I think I've been having you start off.
Yes, that sounds good. Okay.
So my number 5 is R2-D2.
Really?
The droid that doesn't talk. Yeah. What's not to like about R2? I
Okay.
mean, he saves everybody all the time. He's in all 3 sagas. He's just, he doesn't speak at all, but everybody understands him. And yeah, I mean, he's probably the best hero in the entire series, but he's only my number 5. I get why people might have him as number 1 just because he is the ultimate hero.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess technically he did do some heroic things.
To put a droid
it is. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little difficult to put a droid there, but yeah, I would take R2-D2 over C-3PO any day.
C-3PO is just
annoying. As a kid, yeah. I loved him more than R2-D2 just because he spoke. But as an adult, he's like that annoying coworker that just doesn't know when to shut up. It's like, yes, I got it. I can read the room. I know the situation. No, I don't want to hear how you're fluent in 4 million different languages and how you're a protocol droid. But I digress. But R2-D2, I'm on board.
Think about it. R2-D2 has to be with him almost the entire time.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, I would
Poor R2.
Poor R2. I would disable myself too, like he did in the 3rd saga, which the less said about that the better, but
yeah. Let's
all right. Yes. All right. My number 5, Vinny.
Justin, what's your number 5?
This one's a little off the board. He is featured in I know he's in Return of the Jedi. I can't remember if he's in Empire. He might be in A New Hope too. Man, I feel like a bad Star Wars fan. I should know this. Either way though, as a kid, I thought he was one of the coolest characters. Doesn't have a lot of screen time. They even brought him back for the new movies and they killed him off, which is another reason why I hate the new trilogy. And that is the one, the only Admiral Akbar, the fishman himself. I love that character so much. It's a trap. Like, I use that meme for so much stuff.
How does that meme apply?
I don't know. You come home and I saw something with work around the house. It was something like when your wife asks you to do X, Y, and Z in the garage, it's a trap or something, I don't know, stupid shit like that. So I don't know. But his character, little backstory, he is Mon Calamarian. He is from the planet Mon Calamari. His people are known for their shipbuilding prowess. They were the ones that created a lot of the Rebel Alliance frigates on their homeworld. Yeah, great people. Wonderful people from what I've heard. Oh, Vinny, we're just getting started with that. Hold on, man.
I'm gonna have to get a new keyboard.
I know you're gonna wear out that button.
I sure am.
So that is my number 5. I didn't want to put him too high because obviously he doesn't play a prominent role in the movies, but he does show up in the Legends extended universe, which is no longer canon. So there you go.
There you go. All right. I do not have any. Well, I'm just gonna say my list is very vanilla because there's not any book reading done on this.
You mean like our intro to the podcast? You didn't hide your Star Wars novels in your textbooks and read them on the quad? No. Okay.
No. See,
all right. Fair enough.
I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I actually had my novels out in the open, and the bullies came by and ripped out the book, so I was never able to finish them.
Okay.
My number 4 is none other than the Wookiee himself, Chewbacca. I mean, what's not to like about Chewbacca? He can fix anything. He's just a big grunt of a Wookiee. He's in he's again another character that's in all three
everything.
Sagas.
Yeah.
I like Chewie. He's like a big space dog you got with him that Han has with him. So yeah, I like Chewie. He's my number 4 hero.
All right, I can get on board with that. Yeah, I feel like
better than R2.
Yeah, but you know what? The more I think about it, R2 is a good pick. I think it's a unique, fun pick that when you think, the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. I think yeah, Chewbacca's a good pick. He had a lot of cool stuff in the extended universe that is no longer canon either, but I don't need to get into that. So
you could.
No, that's okay. There was a book series that took place like 20 years after Return of the Jedi where they had to fight like these gigantic space bugs that were like force resistant, and I want to say Chewie I think Chewie got killed by them, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Why did you tell me that?
Well, it's no longer canon. You got nothing to worry about. So
oh, okay. Thank God.
yeah. Whew. There was also a Wookiee Jedi in training in the Young Jedi Knight series that featured Han and Leia's kids too. So I think her name was Lobaka, I believe her name was, which is kind of stupid because Chewbacca. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they could have.
Kind of a ripoff. They could have.
Yeah. They could have thought a little harder on that.
Something
one.
a little bit
No
better
wonder why
than
it's
that.
No longer canon.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Probably the one book that Disney read, and they're like, no, we're not going to.
Nope. 86, all of this.
Terrible names like that.
Jaina, Jason, and Anakin Solo. Get rid of them all. We don't want those kids around in the new series.
Yep.
So, all right.
What is your
I'm
number
next.
4, Justin?
All right, my number 4. I had to pull somebody from this movie because this might be like, out of all the Star Wars movies, maybe my second favorite of all time. And that is Jyn Erso from Rogue One.
Okay.
I feel like that might be a little bit out of the box just because that movie doesn't necessarily get brought up as much. I arguably would say that's the best of all the movies they've made since the original trilogy. That's probably the best one. And I feel like that's well documented with us and Greg discussing that. But her character is got a cool arc going from like this kind of criminal to trying to find her dad and figure out what's going on because, you know, she was hidden because he was working on the Death Star plans. And ultimately just like that last half of the movie where they're in the tower on Scarif looking for the Death Star plans and how they're named after her nickname that her dad had for her and just how relentless she was and she was not willing to give up. You know, and the fact that she was kind of the one that convinced them to start this suicide mission because we know like the Rebel Alliance said, no, you're not going. And then they kind of just took the, oh God, what would that be? A U-Wing? I can't remember. That was like new for Rogue One. So yeah, like she, I thought was an awesome character. Obviously, spoiler alert, everyone in Rogue One pretty much dies at the end because to carry on the New Hope. It's a shame that obviously they had to write it that way because like she would have been a really cool character to continue to learn more and have her feature in other things. But yeah, she's my number 4. I think she's an awesome character. I can definitely see a little bit of like Princess Leia vibes or Princess Leia influence with her. But yeah, that's my number 4. So there you go.
Good one. That's a really good one.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 3, mine is Mace Windu. Samuel L. Jackson, gotta love him. I really hope he somehow survives and makes a comeback and we get more screen time of Mace Windu. I always loved his character he was probably one of the brighter spots in the prequel trilogies. But yeah, just he was such a cool character, probably the coolest Jedi that probably ever walked.
Purple lightsaber.
I can't say the face of the earth, the face of the universe. He just was awesome. I mean, he would have taken down the Emperor if Anakin didn't freak out and cut his arms off and force push him out the window. Or no, he got electrocuted out the window. Sorry.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, but God, he's such an awesome character, and
he
didn't get justice. I feel like could have been better. He did take out Jango Fett too, right?
That's true.
The second movie.
Was it? That wasn't not Geonosis. I don't remember what. Was that the planet? Okay.
No, that was Geonosis.
Was it Geonosis? Okay. What was the planet where the clones were made? I always get that confused. Do you remember what that? I don't remember what that was called.
What was that? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Geonosis was
Battlefront.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, where they're like having the fight in the pit and the the Coliseum kind of style. Yeah. I feel like he was one when they said they were gonna bring him into Star Wars. I didn't really have any recollection. Like, I knew him as that guy that gets eaten in Jurassic Park as a kid. That you just see his hands. That's all that's left of him. So I didn't really realize, but I kind of feel like after being an adult and going back and watching the prequel trilogy, like, I feel like they didn't use him to the best of his ability. Like, I feel like they could have done so much more with him. He's stuck sitting around for most of those movies in like the Jedi Council, just talking about how Anakin's not ready. And then finally he gets a little screen time where he's actually fighting in episode 3, and then he gets blown out the window, and that's it. So yeah, if they somehow bring him back or make it work so they can write him into either Mandalorian season 3 or even Ahsoka when that comes out. Is that this year or next year? I think that would be really cool.
This year.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to see him back. I think that'd be pretty cool. So I think you're spot on there. That's a good pick.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right. Moving on to your number 3.
All right. My number 3, this guy is just fun. A lot of good one-liners. Really, the actor is incredible. I love the actor. I feel like
Porkins, isn't it?
No, it's not Porkins. No. What does he say? I can hold it. I can pull up, eject. No, and that is Lando Calrissian. Billy D. Williams is one of my favorites. Man, I wish I could have seen what they would have done with him if they let him be Two-Face in the third Batman movie with Michael Keaton, but we will never know. But anyway, Lando, I feel like Empire Strikes Back, he does such a good job as, you first meet him and he's like this skeevy kind of like, he seems like he's too good to be true. And then, he kind of screws over, Han and Leia, but it makes sense why. And then he kind of goes from that to Return of the Jedi. They say he's stuck around with the Rebel Alliance. He's a general. He's leading the assault on the second Death Star and flying in to destroy the core. And, so many good lines.
Wearing Han's clothes.
Wearing Han's clothes. Yeah. Like that. Okay. And what was his name? The alien that's his co-pilot in Return of the Jedi. Is it Nine Noob or Nia Noob or whatever that guy's name is? I remember I had the little Micro Machines action figure of him with the Millennium Falcon. But, we've got to get... I love how he never called Han. It was always Han, old buddy. Like that was great. I don't know if that was on purpose. And then also we've got to give him more time. Like, I love that line. Just his candor is just excellent. So, more Lando, the better. I would love a Lando standalone with, what's the actor
Glover.
Donald Glover, I thought did a pretty good job in that
great.
movie. I think he was probably my favorite part of that movie. I think he nailed that. And I think and I feel like they kind of screwed Billy D. Williams, or maybe not even Billy D. Williams, but the Lando character in Rise of Skywalker was just so pointless. Like, yes, I want you to bring him back, but give him something to do. They didn't give him anything to work with. And then they insinuated that he was somehow the father of that one lady that was also fighting with them, and that wasn't earned at all, but I digress. So number 3, Lando. I like I said, he's a great character. He's fun, he's silly, he's goofy, but then also, gets the job done. So, there you go.
Good pick.
Thank you.
I really liked Donald Glover's rendition of his character.
Yes.
In Solo, and I really hope that they give him a standalone, even a series would be awesome,
Yeah.
would be great on how he got to be at Cloud City and stuff like that. That would be that'd be cool. I'd be in on that. But yeah, good pick. What are we on? Number 2?
Number 2.
My number 2 is such a lame pick probably for a lot of people, especially because of the series that came out, but it is Obi-Wan.
Oh, I had a feeling he would come up somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Ewan McGregor is great as Obi-Wan.
Yes, he is.
And even the prequels. I mean, I would say he was probably the best, and then I think it would be followed by Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson for actors in the prequels. Just his character, he's got a little cheekiness to him, especially like when they're second episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Was it Attack of the Clones? Yeah. When they're hunting that assassin and they go into the bar and he makes Anakin do all the work and he goes in to have a drink. I think that's hilarious. I thought, we talked about this. I like the Obi-Wan series. I thought that was a great job. I thought it did a great job at, fixing and making the prequels better. There were some obvious blunders in it, like the whole first encounter between Obi-Wan when the fire, he's dragging him through the coals, but the explosion doesn't really knock Vader down, and somehow Obi-Wan manages to escape. That's a little silly, but I thought that was otherwise I thought that was a great series. You see the pain and the turmoil and the guilt that Obi-Wan has in that series, and then just like the ending, that final battle between the two of them, and you just see like him be Obi-Wan, who's almost stronger than he's pretty much stronger than Vader at that point, taking him down, and then just like kind of overcoming, like, okay, this guy is completely lost. The person I knew is no longer
He's
there.
gone.
He kind of moves past that. It was a great arc, with that whole series. But I liked his character, and I thought Ian McGregor did a great job as Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's a series I need to go back maybe this summer. I don't know when season 2 of that's starting, but I want to go back and watch that because I really enjoyed it. And as somebody who, saw the first prequel movie, I was, would that come out 98, 99? I was like 11. So like I still have a soft spot for Phantom Menace, but then being in high school, seeing Attack of the Clones and being like, oh my God, this movie is garbage. And then liking Revenge of the Sith, but I haven't gone back to watch that in probably a decade. So I feel like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, especially the mini series, like really saved and salvaged the prequel trilogy for me. Like it definitely put it in a better light, and the fact that character was able to accomplish that, I think really says a lot. And that actor, Ewan McGregor, is awesome. Like you can tell, like, I think he genuinely enjoys being Obi-Wan. Like, I think there's something there, like, because otherwise, why would someone come back unless, Disney's just writing you a blank check? But, like, why would you come back to a character that you haven't played in 15 years? If Revenge of the Sith came out, like, 2005, maybe something like that. And then to explore, like, all that. And then, I think that's a great pick. And even Alec Guinness as the original Obi-Wan, like I even like that character to a certain extent. I think Ewan McGregor does a great job showing what he was really capable of. But even Alec Guinness and just some of the lines he had, I think it makes Obi-Wan's an awesome character. I think that's a great pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome. All right, I'm gonna go off the board a little bit. Another off the board pick. Yes. This character is in. He's in A New Hope. I know he's in Return of the Jedi. I think he's got to be in Empire. And that is probably one of the best damn fighter pilots in the galaxy, Wedge Antilles, Captain Antilles.
Nice.
Now, you might say, if you're listening, well, Justin, he's got like a couple bit parts. You see his head in the X-Wing, because I think, he's always flying an X-Wing. Maybe a snowspeeder in Empire, but... he's, rogue leader or gold leader, rogue leader. But in the books, so there is like a 6 or 7 book series called The Rogue Leader. And it's all about and this is no longer canon because screw you, Disney. It's all about him after, obviously, the Rebel Alliance is over. It's the New Republic now, and he is the commander of Rogue Squadron. He takes over, and it's him training another set of pilots, young pilots, and them going on missions like where there's a little bit of, a little bit of the Empire, like holdouts are still there, and they're going on these missions. And it's so good. You wouldn't think like a novel all about a squadron in the New Republic Starfleet like would be anything, but there's a lot of like inner turmoil, and some of his candidates for pilots, they get killed in battle, and him dealing with that. So it's really good. I've only finished like 2 books in that series. I bought like the other 5 after I finished the first one, and I've had them sitting on the bookshelf for I've had them sitting on the bookshelf for like probably 5 years now. I just never have time because I have like 25 books I need to finish reading before I get back to that. So Wedge Antilles, he's also books. I know I got like 4 more for Christmas. I'm still finishing Ricky Henderson's book right now. It's really good, but yeah, he's awesome. Highly recommend. X-Wing, Rogue Squadron. He was, also the video games, the Rogue Squadron N64 games. I'm pretty sure he's in those too with Luke. Just an awesome, cool character. Like in the extended universe, he's just very, mild-mannered. He gets the job done, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. Good leader. Awesome. Can't go wrong with a Wedge.
He was part of the Empire. He was an Empire pilot, wasn't
he? He was, and he defected. Yeah. So
see,
cool stuff. Look at this guy. I'm not. Hit that nerd alert button for yourself right there. I even forgot about that. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Nice.
Yeah, he even since I've been a kid, like I always thought, even before I read the books about him, I'm like, this guy seems really cool. He's not as silly as Jack Porkins, and he lives, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So,
no, picking a guy that lives is always a good.
It's a good call.
Good choice there, Justin.
Thank you.
All right, on to number 1.
Man.
Number 1. No surprise. This might, I guess, maybe, I don't know. We'll see if Justin will qualify this as a hero. But this character, one of my favorites, is Din Djarin from Mandalorian.
Yes, I think that qualifies. Maybe a little bit of like the anti-hero, but still a hero nonetheless.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he's a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Is Dog the bounty hunter a bad guy for being a bounty hunter?
I don't know. Have you heard some of the stuff he's been up to lately?
Right? Well,
don't Google him now.
Not socially or anything like that, but job wise.
He might have been
criminals.
He might have been busy on January 6th of a couple of years ago. Just saying.
Yeah,
but
he might have been, but I don't think Mando was. But
no, Mando wasn't. Mando wasn't.
But I love his character.
Yes.
Just kind of the development. He was nothing more than a bounty hunter, and then there's this bounty on the kid, and he comes to save Grogu, and now he's got that whole arc going, and I just love his character, how calm and collective he is, and just badass. Like his suit is amazing. It's like. Take Boba Fett's suit when you were a kid growing up, thinking that guy looks awesome, and make it 1,000 times better with the all the is it Beskar?
Beskar, yeah, the Beskar, yeah.
Beskar is a place, right?
Bespin.
I'm combining everything now. I'm not that big of a nerd.
You're killing me, Vinny. You're killing me. Oh my God,
Justin. But no,
this is amateur hour.
His character. I love his character, and he is my number 1 hero right now.
I think that's a great pick. I remember being so skeptical when they said they were making that series, because for the longest time I feel like people thought he was going to be Boba Fett, at least before it was started. Like I'm like, oh, Boba Fett series, and then I'm like, oh, you're another like guy that wears Boba Fett style armor. This is never gonna work. And then like they just built this thing for this character in this arc, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like after the debacle that was 7, 8, and 9, I'm like, oh my God, Star Wars is back. Like they figured it out. Don't bother making these god-awful freaking movies. Like make these small bite-sized TV shows that have a narrow focus, that tells a really good arc, and you nailed it. Like the fact that they're tying in things from like the cartoons, which I really need to, everyone I talk to, I think Jake from Dinger's podcast told us about, go back and watch some of the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I need to, I just don't have time. But yeah, like I think you nailed it, Vinny. The Mandalorian armor, which I didn't even know was a thing when I was a kid with Boba Fett. I just knew Boba Fett's helmet was cool, and his jetpack was cool, and the wrist launcher was cool. And then they take that, they give it to a new guy, and they also explain like all of the backstory of who these people were. that Boba Fett didn't necessarily ascribe to. And then, yeah, you tie it in with the fact that his arc of being this cold, heartless bounty hunter because I remember like the first episode of the first season, it was, well, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. And I'm like, oh, this guy's a badass. And then now you go to like the end of season 2 where like he's genuinely distraught knowing he's got to give up Grogu for Jedi training. You know, but it's the right thing to do. And like you said, the fact that his Pedro, what's his last name? Pedro, I can't think of the guy that plays.
I was going to say
Gerfal. That's what I was going to say too.
Pedro.
He's also in the new Last of Us show on Pedro Pascal. That's it. That guy does such an amazing job. His voice, his tone, the fact that, you know, he's a guy that for 90% of the show, he's got a helmet on and like he totally doesn't care. Like, how many actors would say, no, I'm not wearing the helmet anymore? You know what I mean? So, Zach writes in season 3, rumor has it Mando will be delivering pizza across the galaxy. What would it be like? That would be like tauntaun sausage maybe or something like that. I don't know. Scruffy Nerf herder sausage. I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah. that version of it'll be out too, I'm sure. Yeah, like I don't know. It's such a cool the armor, everything down to it. It's just an awesome character, and I cannot wait to see what happens in season 3. So I think that's a great pick, Vinny. Good job.
Thank you, Justin. All right, Justin, what is your number 1?
Yeah, my number 1. This is kind of
this character.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh.
Okay.
100%. Yes. This is probably a cop out. My number 1 is Luke Skywalker. Like he is my favorite. You know, nerdy farm boy, and then he turns into this whole like huge thing. The fact that really solidified it for me was the last episode of season 2 of Mandalorian. Like. I remember texting with you guys and seeing the X-Wing fly in and be like, holy shit, like they did it. Like this is awesome. And then seeing him just tear through all those dark troopers, which I have remind me for one of my honorable mentions. I can talk about that more, but because nerd, like amazing. The fact that the CGI isn't really, I think was pretty good. I think it's definitely improved over time. And the fact that they had, you know, even in Boba Fett's season, like, Mark Hamill was there and doing filming with them with the outfit and stuff. So I don't know if they had Mark Hamill come and do the walkthrough and then they put, I don't know how that worked. Cause I saw photos of Mark Hamill in the outfit with the actors doing the stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, Mark Hamill is not the body that they use. So I don't know how, but I was glad they brought him back for that. But yeah, like, okay, he's got the Jedi thing. He's got the naive farm boy thing. He's got the badass X-Wing pilot thing. Like, you know, not too big on having a crush on your sister, but then thankfully that gets remedied when he finds out it's his sister. I still remember that was
weird.
Still a little weird. Yeah, a little weird. Not going to lie. George Lucas was into some weird shit, apparently, because he had the whole thing written before it was directed, right? So he knew what was going on. I still remember...
Do you think Luke, when he found out, had like that Ace Ventura type moment where he's throwing up in the toilet and taking a plunger to his face?
He might have
big wads of gum.
He's drinking a bunch of what's that blue milk they show him drinking? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I think he's just an all around awesome character, and it's funny because as a kid, I was all Team Han Solo. Like I liked like the roguish like. Not really that great of a guy, but he gets the job done and he still does, you know, the good deed when it comes down to it. But now as an adult, I'm like, Luke's the guy. Like I want that guy in my corner because I know he'll back me up and not bail on me. But yeah, that's my number 1, Luke Skywalker. And also what's really awesome, if you have a second later or even now, when they re-released the original movies, this was 97, they also did a whole new line of toys. So like I had a ton of Star Wars action figures from that line. Hard to believe. I had the X-Wing, I had everything. And I had the first one my parents bought me was Luke Skywalker in his New Hope get-up, the robe, like the robe thing. But if you look up Luke Skywalker, like 1996, 1995 action figure, they made Luke Skywalker jacked. Like he's like the Hulk, but like it's hysterical. It's hilarious. So anyway, that's my number 1. I'm going to shut up now. So there you go.
Nice.
Yes.
Good pick. I wasn't expecting that to
No?
To be your number one? No.
I think I was going to go like
Luke
something
was
really
too-
weird.
Too vanilla.
That's
don't
I
know,
was
guess-
yeah.
Do you feel some sort of kinship to Luke because you're both kind of like nerds?
I think so, yeah. Like, I am definitely not the Han Solo type, right? Like, I think that's very clear from the get-go.
I don't know, Justin. You kind of come off as a rugged, only care about yourself kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah.
Tough guy.
Yeah. What's the line from when he shoots when they're in the detention center and he shoots it? We're all good. Negative. How are you? Like, yeah, that would be me asking how the enemy is. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you want to do write-ins or do you have any honorable mentions? I got a few I can run through. It's up to.
I don't have any honorable mentions.
Okay.
I did want to ask you about the Mando scene. Did you know when the X-wing was flying in that it was Luke, or did you not know exactly who it was going to be?
I don't think I just figured, there's no way they'll pull that off. It'll be someone else, right? Like, what I initially thought was it was going to be that X-wing pilot that stopped Mando, like pulled him over.
Yeah.
I assumed it was going to be like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know where this is going. And that guy is prominently featured in the new season trailer, so he's back too. But I just figured, I'm like, there's no way they're not going to pull that off. Like, it would be awesome. Right. But then, yeah, as soon as you see the cape and the green lightsaber, I've gone back and watched that scene a couple times when, like, well, not recently because but it's still like it's everything as a kid that you want Star Wars to be, and so it's again, I am very well aware of wearing my nerd heart on my sleeve here when it comes to Star Wars. But yeah, so there you go.
Nice. All right.
Did you know that yes, I do. That X-wing, when it flew in, though, it wasn't in attack position. It had its wings closed. Just I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, but it was coming out of. Isn't that when they go
hyperspace?
Into
yes, they can't. Yeah, they can't have the.
Coming out.
They can't have the S foils. That's what those are called. They can't have the S foils open. They have to have them closed.
Interesting. They don't call them wings.
No, they're S foils. I don't know why they're not S's either. Why not say X foils? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I need to shut up. All right. Honorable mentions: Obi-Wan, Princess Leia. I also have a soft spot for Lobot. Do you know who Lobot is, Vinny?
Sounds familiar.
Lobot is Lando's like half human, half droid guy.
Oh, that guy. Yep.
He doesn't speak, but I love the fact that he kind of rounds up the Bespin police force or Bespin guards to kind of help out while the city's being under siege by the Empire. I love the scene when Lando's got like his fancy Apple Watch and he pushes the button and Lobot's eyes open because his little machine on his head starts. There's like a huge backstory to that guy. There's like a book about him. I have not read it. I'm very curious what the backstory is to him, but
I'll get you that book for your birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it in advance. Mara Jade. Do you know who Mara Jade is?
Is related to Luke or
she is
to Luke, right?
She is married to Luke in the extended universe that is no longer the canon. So she was actually there's a really good book about her. I'm waiting. It's called I believe it's called, is it called Hand of the Empire? Anyway, her role is before she becomes a good guy, she is known as the Emperor's Hand. So she was like another, not Sith, but she was Jedi trained, and Vader knew about her, and she would be sent out on missions to assassinate people. She also had a purple lightsaber too. And then I can't remember how it happens, but Luke ends up turning her to the light side, and they get married, and then they kind of work on the Jedi Academy together. There's a really good book. It's called, I can't remember, Choices of One or Choices of Many. And then there's another one called The Allegiance, because she also had like a stormtrooper outfit that would go out on missions with her. She was awesome. Dash Rendar. Do you know who Dash Rendar is?
Nope.
He is the main character in Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64. I don't know if you ever played that game.
Did not.
No? Okay. He's also in the book Shadows of the Empire. He's like B-tier Han Solo. And then the last one I will mention besides Princess Leia is Kyle Katarn, who starred in like 4 computer games: Dark Forces, Jedi Knight 2, and I think Jedi Knight 3. He is actually in the first Dark Forces. In the second mission, the Empire sends out Dark Troopers to destroy a rebel outpost, and you have to go fight them. So that is where the Dark Troopers originally came from before they were no longer canon. So there you go.
Interesting. Well, they're canon again, right?
They're canon again, but not with Kyle Katarn. So.
Oh, okay.
He also becomes a Jedi in the games, which is weird, but that's neither here nor there. So. All right. Metachlorians does it all. They're mitochondria, damn it.
We'll get to reader submissions here. Justin, you want to start off?
Sure. Karen wrote in. She said, well, my favorite hero is definitely not Jar Jar Binks. Leia would be my number one choice, followed by Luke, Chewie, and Han. Thank you, Karen.
Nice.
Jar Jar.
H writes in, favorite hero is Chewbacca.
Good choice. I think that's a good one.
Yep, good
Trent
choice.
wrote in, and I got to admit, some of these people Trent mentioned, I don't know who they are. So I need to. There's somebody into Star Wars more than me.
Your nerd game.
I know. I'm going to go on Wikipedia in a few minutes and find out who these people are. If you're laughing, that's a real site. My favorite Star Wars heroes from Trent are Luke, Leia, Mara Jade, Han, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Padme, Yoda, Chewbacca, Kyle Katarn, Lando, Talon Card. I don't know who that is. Plo Koon, he was a guy, he had a yellow lightsaber. He was cool. He's got the really weird like helmet looking face. And then he says also a guy named
Emperor?
I think he died, yeah. He was in I had a game with him in it,
Jedi. Mace's group.
Yes, he was.
That went to go arrest him, right?
Yep. And he almost had like fangs. He's like got like a walrus looking face, but it's gold. And then also he mentions Captain Tarpals. I don't know who that is. I'm going to have to look that up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Dr. Mantis writes in number 5, Wedge Antilles. Number 4, Admiral Akbar. Number 3, Han Solo. Number 2, Yoda. And number 1, R2-D2.
All right.
There
Another R2 fan.
Making number 1.
Another R2 fan. All right. Jay Bird, we're going to have to ask him. I don't know who this is. He says number 5, the A-Wing pilot in Return of the Jedi. I think I know who he's talking about. He's got like a green jumpsuit and like a helmet that wraps around the outside of his head. I think he's with Lando when they attack the second Death Star. Why do I know this? Good Lord.
Is he the guy that takes out the...
With him? He might be when they go inside. He might be with him in that. He says number 4, Ahsoka Tano. Number 3, Obi-Wan. Number 2, Yoda. And number 1, Mace Windu. All right. That does it. Any surprises? I'm surprised we didn't see more Han Solos. He seems like kind of the go-to, but
I mean, like you said, he's not necessarily like a guy that's gonna have your back.
Yeah, he bailed. He left, and he tried to leave during Empire too, and he got trapped by Darth Vader. So, all right, Vinny, we've made it through another episode. We're done.
Ooh.
All right.
Somehow.
Well, thank you to everyone who stuck through it. Again. You can find us on youtube.com/baseball and whatever. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You can tweet us at baseball and what, or message us on Instagram at baseball and whatever. You can email us baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. And the one I forgot earlier, probably the most important one, get those texts and voicemails. We haven't had a voicemail in a while. We got to get Greg to leave an angry voicemail for something. I don't know what it would be, but
I think he doesn't care at this point about the White Sox.
No, I don't. Maybe we can get him to write in or leave a voicemail with his 5 characters. But the number for that is 1-913-808-3278. That number again is 1-913-808-FART. And we will be back next week with more baseball and whatever. Have a great weekend. And in the words of, let's see, Lando, we've got to give him more time. See you, everybody.